Live, okay? Here
Okay.
we go. It's a 20-second delay.
Oh, it's frozen. Oh,
Good.
welcome everyone. Welcome to All Things Energy. Hi, Dana. My name is Heather. I'm an Oracle card reader. And here's Dana.
Hi, everyone. And my name is Dana, and I'm a psychic medium. If you don't know who I am, we're so happy you're here. We're going to be talking about collective consciousness today. What is collective consciousness? I mean, that's quite a broad question, wouldn't you think? It's something that's almost bigger or even harder to comprehend in a lot of ways. But hopefully we can kind of break it down, make it a little bit simpler today. So I think what I'm going to do is we are going to have this wonderful conversation. I just want to make sure that if there's anybody who would like to comment or ask questions, you can do it in the chat room. I have it open and I can read it. I have my glasses on. So we want this to be live and interactive. The stream seems to be working, so I'm very grateful for that. So what is collective consciousness? It's a good question.
Yes.
Yes. So I think when you kind of think about it in a wide spectrum, collective consciousness means that every single person, every single being, every single animal, every single tree, everything is conscious. It doesn't matter what it is, and we all interact with each other. One thing you understand about the collective consciousness is that, if there is a world event, or if there's something that happens in the world that everybody is feeling and everybody knows about, we are going to have a collective conscious emotion. And the earth can measure this. So not only are we cells and we're energy and we're receptors, our cells are actually something that can perceive things. Our cells can perceive something that is, I don't know if you've ever heard that story where somebody's been caught under a car, or your kid's caught under a car, and all of a sudden you gain this, strength to lift up the car and be able to rescue your child out of that. But there is this sense of, we all have the ability to do this. And if we're really tapped into the collective consciousness, like, I don't want to go off topic here. I kind of want to break it down into a little bit more palatable. I want it to be a little bit more layman's in a way, because even as I'm explaining it, you can tell that there's an emotion around consciousness, no matter what it is. Let's just say, 9/11. Everybody felt 9/11. Everybody knew it was happening, and everybody felt that consciousness in the same manner. And then, with this virus that came out, everybody was watching the news, everybody was looking around, everybody was fearful. This is what I mean. Let's just say the elites know that this conscious, collective conscious exists. They know. So if they can design it so we're feeling the emotion, then they can actually control what's going to happen in the frequency of what's happening in the earth. And I know it took me a little while to get to that, and I'm sorry for that, but it's just, there's so much that is just, if we really understand what it is, we can change it. There's an interesting concept. There was 7,500 people that sat outside Washington, D.C. and meditated only on dropping crime rate. So this was in the middle of July. There was a lot of crime that was going on in DC at that time. There's a lot of crime going on there now, in my personal psychic opinion. Anyway,
Yep.
That's for another day. So the 7,500 people meditated on dropping the crime rate, and they measured it. And it worked. They did it a few times. They kept doing it. It dropped the energy of crime. And it was July. Like, this was in the middle of July, and everybody's out and about. It's not like it was a winter storm or anything like that. It was done deliberately during the worst crime seasons, and when people are doing a lot of this kind of stuff. And they dropped it like 21% the first time they did it. So if you can think about 7,500 people meditating and changing the frequency and the vibration of their community, well, what does that mean? Like I just found that story so incredible. Have you ever heard of that, Heather? Did you ever see that?
I probably have in small doses, but do go on because I am intrigued by what you're saying. I'm just, yeah.
Well, it's such an interesting thing. What can you do with it? If you understand that this is what it is, and you understand that this collectiveness is part of your every function, it's natural, it's part of you, it's something that's in every single person, encapsulated. Not only are you encapsulated in your body, the world is encapsulated in this frequency. So if you can think of it in that way, you're part of it, you're inside of it, and you're inside of this collective consciousness. And, that's where it kind of comes into how do we navigate through all of this? What do we do when, we're hearing all of these things that are going on in the news or what have you? How do we find a way to collectively push back on the things that we know in our senses aren't right? I think what happened though is that there was such a divide created, trust the science, trust the science, trust the science.
Right.
And you were conditioned to believe that that was the way you were supposed to do it, yet didn't listen to that little intuition in your gut or in your heart saying, there's something a little bit off here. And I'm sure every single person felt that. But because we kind of got into the psychology of what was going on, and every conversation you had with anybody, and, you'd go and visit people or you'd be talking online or what have you. And that was the topic of conversation. And honestly, it was designed to be that way. And this is where we sort of lost sight of our intuitional. What is it that we want to focus our energy on? What is it that we want to consciously put out to our neighbor? What do we want to put out to our friends, our family, or so on and so forth? You can actually psychically attack somebody by just thinking about them in a negative way. That's a consciousness as well. I can feel when I'm being psychically attacked. If somebody's jealous or somebody's mad at me or what have you, I can feel it. I know it's happening, but I can wake up and feel like past clients are wanting to book an appointment with me, and I'll actually wake up thinking of them. And quite often I'll call them if I can find them and say, hey, I woke up thinking about you. And they're like, oh my God, how did you know? And I'm like, it's a collective consciousness. This is really what it is. And believe it or not, it's not all that. I want to say it's not all that spectacular. In a way it is, but it's more about, it's way easier than we think it is. It's super, super easy to do. And even like as this week goes, I'm going to talk to a bunch of people this week who are sort of on the conservative side. They're politically movements, they're understanding what's going on in the mainstream, they're understanding what's going on in science and what's happening with all of this COVID stuff. And I'm actually going to go talk to this group of people. And maybe that'll be an interesting conversation for Friday morning, because, there's going to be a lot of information that I'm sure I don't know either, because this is a community that gets together and gets resources to help each other and to help the community do what the community needs to do, because that's really what it's about at this point. Not only are we, if our community is strong and collective and conscious as a community, it ripples out to the world. It's like that hundredth monkey effect. You got an island of monkeys who learn how to do a special skill, and then an island that is across the way a little bit, all of a sudden, because of the collective conscience of the monkeys, the other monkey on the other island starts getting this sort of psychic impression on, oh, I've got this skill now. This is what I can do. That's what happens in the world. And that's what we do as humans as well. So it's really fascinating to be in that consciousness. You kind of want to be in that meditative state of mind for sure. But yeah, I mean, there's a theta and beta, and you can, look at all of that. How do you want to be able to be in that sort of frame of mind? When it comes to the technical stuff, I sort of have a hard time kind of formulating everything. I more want people to understand that for themselves and do the research so they have a good foundation with it. I do certain things, I do it a certain way. Before I do a reading, I will collectively get into the people who are driving to see me, and I'll see who's in the car with them. It's usually a spirit of some kind that's sitting in the car with them, and I'll listen to the music that they're playing and they're feeling coming for the reading, and I'm really getting connected to them before they even get there. And quite often I can see what they look like, and I can see what they're wearing, and that's a whole lot of fun. I do that quite often as well. Yeah, and it's just to keep my psychic muscle strong. That's the reason I do it. And if somebody's coming for a reading, I want to be prepared. I want to be ready. And when they get here, I know they're nervous a lot of the times. They're very anxious to have a reading with me, but we calm it down really quickly.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Dana, I was just thinking though about like you were saying, the collective. Now, let's use the term Big Brother. Okay. So not the TV show, but no, I've always heard that, oh, Big Brother is watching type of thing, right? And as I've been learning on this journey of understanding deeper of really what's going on out there. So what my point is that this is where we do need to educate ourselves. We do need to understand what's going on. We cannot believe that they are taking care of us. We, as you said, have to take care of ourselves, take care of our community. And then from there, the energy will then expand in a more, I don't know if the word positive, but a loving way, of a way that we do want to live, and not to live in fear and having all these mandates put on us to control us and to just take away our free thinking. Like you say, we're not relying on our incredible instincts that we were born with. So
because they've actually eliminated that from you. They've actually put you in a state of mind where a lot of people don't believe they even have the ability to do this. A lot of people do have the belief that they can do this because they do have premonitions, and there is some way to measure it. But in actuality, our life and how it was designed by TV, social media, school, religion, so on and so forth, it's sort of been beaten out of us. And think about that. I mean, it's school, TV, every sort of facet that's coming into us has to be in some way tearing that down. So if they're doing it in every facet of your life, how powerful are we really in our own consciousness if that's the case?
Right. Yes.
Right. So I don't want to dismiss it, or I don't want to downplay it in any way. I want people to realize that we have such strong abilities that every single person, I mean, there's a way to practice. And I think this kind of slides into the collective consciousness and remote viewing. And I do want to do a talk about remote viewing because it is part of it, right? Like even doing a remote view into even the future, the past, the present, or to find something, these remote viewing techniques, I think every single person can really practice it, learn it, understand it. I think we can get better and better at it. I think there's people who are very natural, like Swan. What's his name? Swan. Yuri Swan. I can't remember what his name was, but he was the king of remote viewing in the military. And the military has been using remote viewers for many, many years, which I find fascinating as well. And there's lots of history about that, and there's lots of information about that. So when all militaries, it wasn't just the US military, all militaries used remote viewers. Russia was developing it as well, and America was doing it. And there's actually movies about it now where, they show you that this is what it you can do. And I kind of want to show people that there is ways to do this and there's ways to practice it, and we can have a great conversation about it. I don't know if that's what anybody is really interested in or what have you. I think it's fascinating. Remote viewing is one of the coolest things that is out there. And if you have that ability, what a great ability, what a great skill to have. So I encourage anybody who is interested in that to leave a comment. Let us know if that's something that they would like to tap into a little bit more, because it's part of it. Collective consciousness is part of what we are seeing. And yes, it can change. We can change the vibrational frequency.
Right. And the fellow that you were talking about is Ingo Douglas Swan.
Ingo, that's his name. Ingo? That doesn't seem right.
No, was a claimed psychic artist and author known for being the co-creator along with Russell Targ and Harold E. Puthoff of remote viewing. Okay. And of remote viewing and
Ingo.
Yes. Yeah.
Ingo Swan, that's his name. Ingo Swan. I knew, I was trying to get it. It's Ingo Swan.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So look at you, boy, once again. But yes, it is. And this is where I just, going about, doing my shopping and things like that, and still seeing the fear in people. Yes, a lot of us are maskless. But then there's those that have the mask and they're doing the old, the cootie, I call it the cootie dance, they walk right around you, and it's just the fear that, they're just in full panic. They really are.
It's because of your environment. If you are fearful of what is going on, it's because of what you're intaking.
Yes.
It's about the world around you. If you are in fear, you're watching the news. That is simply what it is. The news is actually installing the fear in you.
Yeah.
And then what's happening is that if you're watching the news and then you go to somebody else who is news watchers as well, they're validating your fear because they're in fear as well. Right. That's what's become the collective consciousness of this CD thing.
Yes.
And it is heart-wrenching to watch, in a sense, because you want to help them out of the fear base, right? You want to say, hey, you've got nothing to be afraid of here other than your government, because, honestly, everybody should be fearing that. And what is the collective consciousness when it comes to a government? Can we collectively break this down and filter out the good and the bad? Filter out the good politicians who are for the people and let them be the collective government. Can we do that just in energy? I believe we can.
Yes.
That's just my personal opinion. I believe we can. So that's what it is. I feel like it's just such an in-depth conversation. And I know just throughout this video, throughout this channel and all things energy, we are going to talk so much about this. And, we're all going to learn something, and we're all going to be part of this. And I think this is going to be great. I think this is an awesome conversation to have no matter what. And how does it help us psychically? How does it help us energetically? How does it help us help our neighbors and our friends and our family? How does it help us? Because you're always going to come up against resistance as well. You've got a collective consciousness over here and a collective consciousness over here. That's the agreement.
Right.
If we all agree that the world is sick and dying of this disease, that really becomes the reality. But honestly, if you really ask yourself the question, when you look around you, how many people have you lost to COVID? How many people have you lost to any of this whole shenanigans for the last 2 years? And I want you to kind of step out of that reality of what you think you've heard. And I want you to just observe what's going on in your reality. And then, go sit on a hill somewhere and really understand the collectiveness is one. We are all one. You go and sit on a hill and you look over a town, and you will have a movement. You will feel this collective energy just sitting there, and your whole world will shift. It'll literally physically shift. The cosmos will shift, and you'll be part of it. It'll be exhilarating, and it'll be overwhelming, and you will feel it. It'll just be something that will be unmistakable. But I think and the more we do that, the better it gets, and the more we understand that we can really, really shift reality in a lot of ways. So it's very important that we understand our consciousness and that we are aware of it. And yeah, so we'll have more conversations about this. I know we're excited about consciousness. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking to Mike about numerology and astrology. I think that's going to be, something that will be a very interesting conversation as well.
Yes, and I'm excited about that as well. I did a little bit of research on numerology. I know I've got books on them and I've read them years ago, but yeah, just to know what adding your numbers of your birth year, your month, and your day, adding those all up together, and then your name, the name that you were born with, and adding those numbers up. So there will be more revealed about that tomorrow. But I would just, I'd like to encourage you that it's a very exciting show that we're going to.
It's going to be a very exciting show. And what's interesting about that is once you know your number, and as you said, your birth date. So I'm 07/07/1969. So you add them up individually, and it comes to 2 numbers, and then it comes to 3 numbers, and then you break it down to 1 number. So you just keep adding everything together to get your number. So it's really interesting how you do that. But once you start kind of knowing your number through your name and your birth date and so on and so forth, you can actually go through your life and you can see that addresses will add up to the same. Phone numbers that you would have had in the past will add up to the same number. You'll start noticing that this number has followed you through your life, and when you break it down, 07/07/1969, 777, when you actually look at like that, it ends up being 777, which breaks down to 3. Well, I see 7s everywhere. 7 is a very lucky number for me, and so is 3. So, and I can see it throughout your life. So, I mean, that comes with so much when you're looking at numerology. There's just, I think there is some sort of collectiveness with that as well.
Yes. Well, if I may just share with you the card that I pulled. Okay?
Excellent.
All right. And it's renewing your life. And it says radiant vitality is filling my life. So look at that. It shows a picture of getting rid of clutter, getting rid of the old, getting rid of the old way of thinking. And so that really sets very well with what, you were talking about. And I think that's pretty amazing. So it's just renewing your life, getting a new life. Yes, yes.
Well, always remember that even objects hold energy. So, your objects can be just sitting there holding energy for years and years. Well, what's it picking up? What's going on with it? So, and that's when, even when, your crystal ball has been out and it's absorbing energy, it's really good to purify it, put it under the moon or put it in the freezer for overnight, or, take it down to the river. Everything holds energy, and we always want to cleanse our energy and make it new. And we can do that in so many ways just by taking care of ourselves and, taking care of our spirit. It's so important. So important to take care of our spirit, don't you think?
I do think, and I know, because my life has changed immensely the more I've paid attention, the more I've done meditation, the more I just keep, I'm evolving just so much more. And I don't feel like there's something wrong with me. I feel there's something right with me. And it's this journey. Yes.
What an amazing thing to say, because when you feel that rightness, everything else is right. And even if things are not exactly right, you can handle it in different ways. And it doesn't give you such an anxious way. I mean, life isn't always going to go smoothly or what have you, but if you are conscious, aware, self-knowing, self-understanding, also understanding that your consciousness can change the frequency of the flow coming your way.
Mhm.
So I think that's it. And really, it's what it's about. I think the hardest part is when it's with other people, because you're never going to be the same as other people. You're always going to have your individual thoughts, yet we are a collective. So how do you merge the two? You be your sovereign self, be your individual self, see what it is that you see.
Yes.
But then how are you accountable and aware for the collectiveness of the world around you? And I always think it's a fine dance, but I definitely think it's achievable.
Yes, I agree. I really do. Yes. Yeah.
Good, good, good. All right. Well, I think we've come to the end of our conversation, Heather. As always, it is such a pleasure to sit here and have morning coffee with you, having these wonderful conversations. I really love doing this. This is something that I'm excited about. It's keeping me energized. It's keeping me in conversation. I really love it. What about you?
I do. I love it too. Dana, when you approached me, it was like, yes. And then you said, well, you go and think about it first, Heather. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take time and I will fully respond to you the day after. And I thought I'll take time to think. But all I kept hearing was yes, 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 yes.
Well, it's a big deal. I mean, we have to be, vulnerable in a way. I mean, if we're on camera here, there's always that negativity that can come as well. But again, with the consciousness, are we going to keep that away because of who we are and what we're putting out there and what's the vibration?
Right.
Like, I think that's going to be really important to understand as well. We're not going to bring that to us, but I do see comments like when I'm looking at other people's stuff or things like that. There's some real negative Nellies out there, and this is where we want to send them love and prayers, and we want them to find their consciousness. They might be, just having a shit day or what have you, of course, like we all do. But yeah, I think this is,
But
I
it's
think,
all about you and I with our collective. And then
yes,
from there, right? Right. So sorry, it just came in and it's just expanding on that. And like you say, send them love and light. And but it's the others that will help too, that are on board or in agreement in the community.
that's
So
it. Find your community, find what works for you,
yes.
help your community.
Yes.
And if you can do that, that's why I wanted to do this. I personally thought there has to be a way to help the community in different ways other than me just doing readings or what have you. I need to do something else. And I knew that, and I was being pulled to do that. And I know I like doing these talks, and I kind of like being on video. I don't know if I love it, but I kind of like it. So maybe one day I'll love it. And I think this is something that could be very useful, and something that could grow into. I don't know. You come up with some great ideas, Heather. I got to tell you, when you call me and you're excited about something, it's like, oh yeah, I like that. So
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, sorry that you would say that because in January, after Christmas time, the festivities, family being around, and then it's like a slump people go into. So I decided to have a little booth made, just something out of skids. And it was just a little booth. And I made hot chocolate to give to the neighbors, people walking by. And I put signs out and just to let them know that they were important, they mattered. And it was a great hit. And then I did one on February the 13th for Valentine's, and I decorated it up with hearts and made oh my goodness, 2 different kinds of macaroni and cheese and cookies, and other people started getting involved. A neighbor said, I'll make some cookies. So she made heart-shaped cookies, and it was just beautiful. And people that are new to the community they came by and chatted, and it was just lovely. And I was trying to do something that I like to do, which is cooking, and I love being around people. So anyways, it's still making a difference. People are walking by and they're talking and saying good morning, which I always would do anyways, even if they weren't looking. But anyways, it's just putting yourself out there sometimes and just letting people know that a smile or just a simple hello is so, so important. And that's part of the collective, I guess.
Part of the collective. I got a job from one line years and years ago when I was in the working world. I got a job from one line that I said. I told them a smile is catchy.
Oh,
That's what got me the job.
I
That
love
one
it.
line. So, and that's what they want, customer service. And if you're smiling, you're doing good customer service, no matter what.
Yeah.
So I think it's very interesting that that's the way it is. So thank you for sharing that. I would love to be able to be part of a street side coffee chat and what have you. That sounds like a lot of fun. So, okay.
Okay.
So we're going to leave it. Please like and subscribe. We would love it if you'd be here. We're not quite to 100 subscribers yet, but we'd like to be there. But we've had actually quite a lot of people who have seen the video. So I'm very encouraged about that. We've had a lot of views. So wonderful. So please join us. Come chat with us. Ask us any questions that you like. We're here to help.
Yes. Thanks, Dana. Wonderful time. Thanks.
Good, good. Thanks, Heather. And I'll stay online, okay?
Okay.
Bye, everybody. Bye, all. Bye, everybody. Bye.
All right. Recording has stopped.
There we go. Good, good, good. 3, 1.